4:30. Would please stand.
That's funny.
Before our invocation, I'm going to ask Jack to pray, and before our invocation and pledge of allegiance, I would like us to observe a moment of silence in honor of Officer Peck, his family, and Council Member Jason Brown, who lost his mother this week. So please join me in a moment of silence to honor those.
If you'd like to join me in the Lord's Prayer, please follow along. If not, please sign. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. For thine is not temptation. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
All right, please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oops.
Seated.
Still through that a little bit. Killing it, man.
All right, this regular Bryant City Council meeting, December 17th, 2024. Order. First item on our agenda is roll call.
Brown is absent. Henson.
Here.
Martin. Here. Meyer.
Here.
Mosley. Here. O'Rourke. Here. Permenter. Here. Rodell.
Here.
Quorum.
We have a quorum. All right, approval of minutes from our November 19, 2024 council meeting.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we've got a presentation. Come on up, Chief, Assistant Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We're here today. We just wanted to recognize two of the Bryant Fire Department's finest employees. As y'all know, every year we select a firefighter year and an officer of the year. These are selected by votes from the members of the department. Whoever they deem most worthy of these positions, that's who gets it. So the first one is going to be from 2024 firefighter year. It's going to be firefighter Chris Adney.
Cool.
All right, next one's going to be 2024 Officer of the Year, Captain Randy Harmon. Y'all join us for a picture?
Sure.
Please.
What's that?
We gotta put you up front.
Come on, we got you up front. That's what you get for wearing your Christmas suit, huh?
Everybody's taking pictures. We're doing like public comment, we're taking pictures. Every agenda item.
You're getting close now. Shorter than you this time.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, next item on the agenda, public comments. Members come forward, state your name, write your name and address down. And you have 3 minutes.
I'm a senior citizen, Scott Staples, 1202 Park Drive. I'm here this evening just to make some brief comments regarding the project that y'all are currently considering. I've spent a lot of time and effort the last several months, actually 9 months, following this project from its inception. And read articles, watched videos, watched the workshop last week. I've talked.
Pardon me. Can you explain which project you're talking about? We've got 100 going on in the city.
I apologize. This is the Economic Development Project.
The what?
Entertainment facility.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. And I've identified my comments in 5 different sections. First of all, the process that the city is following, I think, is quite favorable. In my experience in city management, it is so important, I think, to be flexible in terms of getting to where you want to get to from where you start. And I see at the inception of this project that the way it started has evolved, and it may continue to evolve. So don't be surprised if that's the case. Also, I think it's a real strength of this project that it's a public-private partnership. The most successful projects I was involved in around the country were public-private partnerships where city governments, county governments, ports, private investors, developers came together. They all had skin in the game, and everyone was highly motivated. I think that now you're in a situation where you've got that. You've got an exceptionally strong partner in the private sector with Walton. I don't know any other entity in the state of Arkansas that could bring more to the table than that particular group. I think you've got a strong team of people. I've met most of them, talked to many of them on multiple occasions. You've got an economic development person in Shane Knight. You've got the mayor who is providing the vision and leadership and getting the green light to look further into this project. You've got Ted Taylor in terms of project management. Joy Black, you've got Jordan Reynolds, who's going to be helpful in terms of communications. I think the sky's the limit in terms of having such a talented group of people that can work with not only Walton, but the 2 consulting engineers that you've got on board. Number 3, this is an economic development project. Short and simple, which is great. It's real easy to explain this to residents, which is going to be important, if not the most important part of this project. The location of this project is excellent. It is going to promote and encourage investment, not only in the immediate area, where I think in 10 to 15, 20 years, you're going to see a new central business district if things come into shape. The infrastructure in that site around the area in terms of transportation, utilities, et cetera, is also quite helpful. You're not in a situation where you're going to have to rebuild public infrastructure. It's definitely going to promote other kind of activity once it is constructed. I dare say, I suspect from my experience that it already, once the word continues to get out about this project, if it goes forward, that will garner more interest from more investors around the country. Also, I like the fact that if you do go ahead at the end of January and say, let's put this on the ballot, you're going to have 100 days. I almost counted, it's almost exactly 100 days from your January meeting to May 13th. That should be sufficient time to fully educate the public, which has been a challenge before. You didn't have, one of the problems that you faced is you didn't have sufficient time. With the right kind of strategy developed for public information, I think this would have a pretty good chance of success. One of the main reasons for that is you can say to the public, this is going to generate additional revenue to help us with operation and maintenance in the general fund, to provide additional support to address existing critical needs such as stormwater and streets. In my travels around the city, in the 5 years I've lived here, that's what I've heard, is that is such a problem. And I think that's another reason that you ought to consider this project. This is a step-by-step process. What you're going to do tonight is just allow the process to go forward. And if you do that, you're going to have another chance in a month from now to see where you are, to look at the concept drawing, and I would fully encourage you to give the go-ahead to take that next step. If you do decide to have an election, and it is something that I think the city council members very much need to be involved in. I think citizens want to see their ward committeemen, the ward councilmen out and about, and I think you ought to go out in the community aggressively, including council members, with the team of people, and go to where the people live. I think it can be successful. It has a real opportunity to be a success. So I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott.
Excuse me.
Mr. Mayor, Council, again, my comments are also with regards to the venue. I'm basically reacting to the meeting of last week with the change in sort of focus. I would say that the proposed new venue is hardly unique in the central Arkansas area. I can count upwards of possibly 5 or 6 similar venues in a 45-minute drive, starting with Conway and the Conway Symphony Orchestra, the Robinson Center, in multiple things at Euler, Ouachita Baptist University, and second, and most importantly of all, the Bryant Fine Arts Center that was paid for in 2019 to the tune of $14 million by the taxpayers of this area. That's on Reynolds Road. I'm just saying that I think it's a sort of somewhat redundant thing, and it's punching above our weight class as a city. Symphonies and that sort of thing are not traditionally money makers. They exist a lot on donations and things like that. It's we're on a rather small side for something of that nature. The second one is that it's supposed to be the linchpin of a new downtown development. I would like to ask, in consideration of the other downtown developments that we have, starting like right here across the tracks at Bryan Town Center, there's like sort of a failed development there. Going up, there's all the development around the interstate and the Walmart. There's that whole downtown sort of area. And then across, we have that farmer's market that's way up in the sort of midtown that's really fizzled out as well. So I would like to sort of ask, before any other kind of downtown development happens, why don't we actually sort of make a more effort of pushing things into these places that already exist, already have open, ready to move in storefronts and things like that, before creating yet another entire development that might have a chance of failing like all these other ones. Thank you. That's
Thank you.
all I wanted to say today.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our finance report. Joy?
Okay, you have in your packet the report for ending November. I've just got a couple of comments I wanted to read into the record related to the report. On this page 4, sales tax was up $321,000 over this time last year, but only $52,000 over our budgeted forecast. Page 5, we continue to work together on the 911 consolidation. Page 5 also, the streets went up from 68 days to 74 days in cash, which is great. The Bryant Parkway, I'm still waiting on the final Garver invoice. I've talked to them. It should be coming very soon. We've talked about all of that before. The $3.5 million did hit the bank and is reflected on pages 6 and 7. That's the money we've been waiting for from ANRC for quite some time. And also note that the Leah Circle 1.5 debt with ANRC and the 2.2 Amendment 78 debt with Regions both became final on 12/4/2024, which is not yet in this report because this ends November. And then just a reminder, this has been on my report for the last several months, but the very last page of the report has a snapshot of all the city's funds with their original budgets, the amended budgets, the fiscal activity for the year. Negatives in the current budget column equal intent to dip into savings in that particular fund. So I just tell you that so that you can kind of follow along with the directions of the negatives and positives on that page. But, so, does anybody have any questions on the November ending report?
So tax revenue that we report this month, is that for September, October? Oh, September, August,
September,
September.
right? Yep, good questions. Anything else on November?
I have a question on page 3 of 70. 5610, the website coverage. What's driving that?
That's our contracts with D&T.
And they weren't in the budget, so the budget's 11, we're 18 over.
Yes, that's that 18 for an increase, I believe that took place during the interim mayor, and it had to do with moving it from one year to another year. The category, I think, hang on, I'm looking, I'm finding it. Where is it? Page 3. The category is okay, and that's the reason why I haven't brought that to you guys, to fix the overall category. But, and that is correctly in the 2025 numbers. So that won't be an issue again going forward to 2025. But we did some revisions to the D&T contract between the different mayors, and that resulted in that change.
So when does that contract come up for renewal?
Do you know?
It should be this year.
We just signed another 2-year with D&T.
Any other questions on the November?
All right, no other questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
A motion,
Second?
second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. Budget adjustments. Resolution 2353 of adoption of amended budget.
So the bill came in for the general election this year and did not have that full amount budgeted, and those are difficult. I meant to look up whether we have something for the May 13th in the 2025 budget today, and I forgot to do that. So I can, when I find that out, I can email you guys about that. But typically, I don't budget for those just because I haven't had really good luck in anticipating or estimating what they're going to be. This one is considerably higher than I would have thought it was going to be, and I asked questions about it, and their payroll costs have gone up, and some IT stuff went up, and they sent the backup detail, and it all looked appropriate, so I put it on
Just to
here.
save me from having to dig through everything, what was the cost?
$40,146.89.
Yeah, that's a little bit higher than we
Yes.
anticipated.
Yes, it is. So, just FYI, and if y'all want to table that particular one and ask more questions, like I said, I've got the details and I can send that to you. But everything did look okay to me, and I asked questions and the county answered, and so I went ahead and put it on here. And I do know, I mean, you know, all the costs for everything have gone up, so, so that's on here.
Can I make a comment about West Point?
Yes,
So, as far as we can tell, we've met all the previous commitments and paid that. But there are a couple residents that still have concerns and questions. And so what I communicated to them is we're bringing this adjustment, if you'll pass it, anything beyond what we promised before and done, we'll have to come back to you. So I'm going to meet with them in January, find out kind of where we are. I thought we were on the same page, and then I realized we weren't. So I'm going to meet with them in January, and what I've told them is whatever we discuss and come out of that meeting with, I'll bring back to you, no matter the cost, whatever it is, so that we kind of, if there is another phase of this, we bring it back, and I can tell you everything. Oh, hopefully there won't be, hopefully.
What are
there
their concerns?
Their concerns that they lost some property when the wall was built, and then they brought up some other things, and I just said, okay, we're gonna have to slow down, let's meet at the, because I was hoping to have it all done. So we'll meet the first of the year, and I'll bring back to you wherever we are. But it's getting lost in translation. We're not on the same page, so this way we can say, okay, we'll hopefully close the book on the first part of this, and whatever we go from here.
So, question about that then, so this shows a budget adjustment of the 260,000, we're at like 400 and,
Well, but the category total, it's only over by the 260. So
okay,
That's a
okay,
good
so
thing.
it's already,
Had some savings in some other areas, and I hope that stays that way. I think it's really hard at the end of the year, as you guys probably are most aware. You know, we do cutoffs, and we have, but you know, it's hard to anticipate what's going to happen between now and the end of the year, and to get all the vendors to turn their stuff in. And so I'm not going to promise you that it'll stay at the 260, but that is my hope. We have beat the bushes trying to get all the vendor stuff and get everything in. So we've tried.
but anything else beyond the 260 is what you're talking about bringing back to us?
Correct.
Yes, well,
Anything
and-
beyond what
Yeah.
was originally promised and committed to by the city.
Because we originally appropriated 250 for it.
And then along the way, there were the fencing and other
Yeah.
things that we needed to get done for these residents. We've got all that done. Whatever we do from here, every bit of it's going to come back to you, even if it's $10.
Yeah, if there's anything else that pushes that category over, it won't be related to West Point. And then the other big one is me moving that ARPA money that we've talked about and brought back to you guys several times, but this is getting it in the right place for we had a change where we'd originally allocated it for the meter project. We waited and waited for that 3.5 million. That's now hit the bank, so I took that money back and put it in to use for the, is it the water tower and, what's the other one we used? The circle. So it's where it needs to be. So, and the rest of those, most of them are in and out, just doing end of the year cleanup. Does anybody have any questions on any of the
Well, you
other?
know, I have a question. The 9,000 on electrical inspections, I thought we raised our rate on that, a year ago? We shouldn't, or do we need to raise it again? What's happened? Yeah, because we're not charging for that, we're flat on that. Like whatever the inspector charges, we have to.
That's what
And that's what we should be doing. We're not making money off of it, in other words. But we don't need to be losing money on it.
Yeah, Ted and I visited earlier today. I usually bring you guys, and it's actually in this folder to discuss when we get to the 2025 budget items I know of, and that's not on it, but it probably will be added to that list. I usually bring things that, from the time we kind of get the budget where we want it to be, but we find out these things that are not material differences, so we don't want to redo the whole 100-page document and put them in January and hope that they're zero balance effects or whatever. That's probably going to be on there.
Yeah, we need to get a new updated.
I need to add that to my list, so I'm glad you brought it back up.
This may be a cart before the horse just a little bit, but I know we were moving the 1 million out of the ARPA, and it was like 700 and something that was accounted for in 25, is that right, or have we figured out, was it all
Oh, no,
accounted?
we've got it all allocated now.
Okay.
Because it has to be allocated
Right.
by December 31st of this year. And it is all allocated by resolutions by you guys.
Okay.
I made sure of that because I have to have it for the files to turn in. So everything is allocated, everything, most of it is under PO. So we've got double paperwork to show,
Leaves, stormwater project, the wastewater project, and the water project.
Okay.
Good question. Because that ARPA stuff has been, just keeps me worried. It's a lot of paperwork. And they keep changing things, and we keep changing things, so. But it has to be obligated by December 31st, 2024, spent by December 31st, 2026. And I will do the next reporting to the government at the end of the 3/31/2025 period.
Any other questions? Not, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2024-53.
Just want to keep bringing you guys, because it changes literally daily, an updated status on the Amendment 78. So we've got several items under PO that'll roll from 2024 to 2025, and then we've got some that are not. And like I said, that settled on the 4th of December. This is this page that I'm showing you guys. So does anybody have any questions on that? Because I know that's a pretty substantial item in the 2025 budget. Okay, no questions on that. I'll move on to the second one. The second one's this list that I was saying to Lisa that I probably need to add about the electrical inspections. These are items that we've known about, or that we know about now. Recently, a long time ago, when the interest and all that finally I know there's going to be a $6,000 difference on the final settled amount for the Amendment 78, but that $6,000 is spread out across all the departments, so I didn't recalculate all of that. Then there's $8,000 that we are pretty certain by the end of the year next year will be short on PD IT-related stuff. They had BERLA is a CID forensic program. They need software updates to it, so we're pretty sure that we're going to need that. And then there's some more information about that. And then the big one is one that Gordon, I think, has already talked to you guys about, the IT switches. Those would be capital, so you know how usually I come to you guys in January, but since we did the Amendment 78, there's not a lot left on the list to do that with, but these IT switches, we probably will bring that back to you and ask to go ahead and take that out of savings. We put in some money for it, but it's not nearly enough because the price has gone up. So then we neglected to put in wastewater connections, so I need to add in the revenue from wastewater connections. The biggie is, I did 9 vehicles at $33,000, and that was not anywhere near enough on either side, and I don't know how I missed it, but we have all looked at this document numerous times, and so I'm sorry about that. But the $65,000 needs to be closer to $200,000 to pay for the water vehicles and equipment when we borrow, and that's for one of the 5-year payments. But that all has to come back to you anyway, because it's a bond. So we will rerun those numbers. The bond people have to approve that. They're going to run the calculation and make sure it keeps us within our 120 days. We tried this year, and this is the first year, to get our water and our wastewater funds to balance like we do our general fund, and we came very, very close because we were wanting to get them as close as we could for starting out with our new reserve policy. This will dip into the water savings, but I do think we have the money to do that, because now that we got the 3.5 for the first time, and y'all will probably notice this on your November report, they're flush again. They've been in the negative for almost 2 years now, maybe 3 years, and now they're not. So we're going to run the calculations. If you approve this budget tonight, that does not mean we go forward with that stuff, because it has to be brought back to you because it's a bond. So I didn't adjust it, even though it's the biggest adjustment by far on this sheet. Is that clear? Does anybody have any questions about it? Anything?
This will come back to you in January.
I had it correct on the fleet, the CIP listing in the back of the budget book. I just didn't have it correct in my number, on the actual page. And that was just something I missed, and I'm sorry. In the very first version, it went in there at 65, and then when we redid everything, I forgot to update.
A lot of lines to look at.
There's a lot,
City
yes.
budget.
If that's the only one I missed, it's pretty good, I think.
Yes.
So, any questions? I would go $30,000. That's would come out of the depreciation fund amount to do for the wastewater treatment plant repairs, and so that would increase that. So we'll be bringing that back to you too. can't think of anything else, but it's a good document. Did you guys see the cover too? I thought it turned out really, really nice.
Yeah.
And we didn't print you guys a new copy tonight because the final version of it that I feel like you would want to keep, that I want to keep, is after we submit it for award, because we'll continue to refine it, make it perfect, and then we submit it 90 days from when you guys approve it. So at that point, if there's any of you that want a bound copy of it to keep for the rest of the year, we'll get it to you then. Any other questions on that document? I know it's big.
Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
A motion. A second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, good job, Joy. Thanks for everybody's hard work on the budget. It is a beast. All right, Ashley Clancy.
First one we have, I just put it on discussion because it needs to be at the first meeting in January. It's regarding the 2025 meeting dates. I changed 3 from the regular last Tuesday of the month. March falls on spring break of the public schools. Didn't know if y'all wanted to do council during spring break. I know a lot of people have young children and may be gone. So I moved that date to a week ahead, which would be March 18th. And then the Thanksgiving and Christmas dates for November and December. I kept the meeting at 6:30.
What are the new dates in November and December?
November is November 18th and December is December 16th.
Is that in our packet here?
It is, should be number 6.
Oh,
It's written into the
Yeah.
second paragraph.
Right, it's in section 1 of the resolution 2005-1.
there we go.
So it's just on for discussion, for you all to think about for next year, if you want to move those dates up like it is currently in this resolution, or if we want to.
Can we just go ahead and approve it?
You can approve it, we can't vote on it.
Boo. Why not?
Can't vote on it because we have new council members coming, and so they have, I know, they have the right to vote on their own meeting dates.
That's fine, sorry, thank you.
Actually, the only other thing that I
It's
had,
right there.
All right, so go ahead.
the only other thing that I had with
Which
it,
is-
I know we had a significant conflict, Salt Bowl. I mean, I hate to say, but do we look at that date and say, do we know when the Salt Bowl is going to be? Because we had the pep rally this year,
Right.
with it directly with council meeting as a potential date to look at maybe.
I can look at that before next month. Definitely look at that so we can have that in the new one. That would be August. Okay, I will look at that before next month. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. All right, any more discussion on that? Good, okay. All right, now we've got our resolutions and ordinances for DYA, Senior Adult Center, and the Historical Society.
Yes, if it's okay, I'll kind of discuss numbers 7 through 12 generally together, and then if you have any specific questions. The program agreements were done through Parks. We thought it may be a little confusing to separate the program agreements with the contracts, so we kept them together under me. But Keith's here if we have specific questions about the program agreements. But the resolutions for each of them just is the council saying mayor can sign those program agreements. The ordinance for each of them allows the city to contract for services through each of the Bryant Youth Association, the Senior Center, and then the Historical Society. It also waives competitive bidding for those services. For the Bryant Youth Association, the city will be paying them the same amount as last year, $50,000. Senior Adult Center is $30,000, and then the Historical Society is $10,000. Is there any specific questions on any of those?
Number 8, it says the contract for additional services. Have they added services?
That is, it should just be for services.
Okay, and on the youth association agreements? Both of them still say Boys and Girls Club on the signature lines.
We will change that.
Thank you, just pointing it
That
out.
changed, thank you.
Thank you.
You don't know how many times that,
Oh, I know, I do this for a living, I understand.
we'll change that on the ones that are actually signed.
Just wanted,
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
since since Councilmember Miller's no longer on the council, I thought I'd do proofreading for
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
thank you. Anything else?
All right, let's get, everyone here, we'll start with this first resolution, 2024-55.
Motion to approve.
A motion,
Second.
second. All in favor? Motion passes. Now we've got the Bryant Youth Services Agreement.
Motion to suspend the rules and read first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All right. Is this? All right, hold on a second.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Yeah, are we
We're still on 7.
7,
We passed
thought
it.
we-
7B?
Passed it.
Did we not vote?
Passed on the we passed the
It's a voice
resolution.
vote, it passed.
So
Okay,
we're on
That's,
the order.
that's what I wrote down, that you passed the resolution.
okay, all right, so we're on to the ordinance.
Yes,
Yep.
number
Right.
8.
Got a motion, first, second, third reading by title only. You have a second?
Started that.
Started. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so now,
Read.
ordinance
Get your Robert's Rules of Order test, brother.
24-25, ordinance authorizing a contract for additional services with the Bryant Youth Association. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Brown, absent. Henson,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Permiter,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Rodell.
Yes.
Pass.
All right, I need a motion to adopt an emergency clause.
Make the motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Henson,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
Permiter,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Pass.
Motion passes. Okay, are we on to resolution 9, number 9 now?
Yes, for the senior center.
Okay, 2024-56, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a program agreement with the Bryant Senior Adult Center.
Motion to adopt.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now ordinance
Motion to
2024-26.
suspend the rules for first, second, third reading by title only.
Second.
A motion, a second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, this is an ordinance 2024-26, an ordinance authorizing contract for services with the Bryant Senior Adult Center Council. Roll call vote.
Okay, are we on, we did 9, we're at 10.
Yeah, that's what we just suspended the rules for 10.
Now we make a motion to adopt.
You-
Which you just made and I seconded.
This is,
Who's keeping score?
Roll call vote.
We're going quick
He's
here.
having a hard time.
it's not the way we put it on paper, but it's fine. I just needed to catch up. Henson,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Permiter,
Yes.
Odell.
Yes.
All right, motion for adopt emergency clause.
Motion to move, adopt emergency clause.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Martin,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
Permiter,
Yes.
Odell,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Henson.
Yes.
Okay, now we're moving to number 11. Resolution 24-57, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a program agreement with the Bryant Historical Society. Have a
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Ordinance, now we're on to number 12. Ordinance 2024-27, do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules, put on first, second, title only.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Have a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Ordinance 2024-27, an ordinance authorizing a contract for additional services with the Bryant Historical Society of Bryant. Have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mosley,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Henson,
Yes.
Permenter,
Yes.
Odell,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Ted, need a motion. Motion passes. Need a motion to adopt emergency clause.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause.
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Martin,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
Henson,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Permenter,
Yes.
Odell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Killed
Thank
it.
you.
Great job, guys.
All right.
Okay, just a second.
Yes, sir.
It's going all,
We
it's
did
going all well to
vote
train.
on the contracts. Are we gonna do that?
I think they voted to give me the authority to sign them.
Okay.
That's what the resolution was, wasn't it?
So
Then
that's what I understand. Yeah, we had each contract in here to be approved, but you approved the resolution, so I can sign the contract.
Now that we've already approved them, Keith, I guess the associations were fine with everything? Okay, good. That's a good thing.
Yes. Everybody's working well together over there, under that new parks director.
Now the old one,
better.
Kumbaya,
So much
old one was
better.
interesting.
100%.
I agree.
Smart hire. All right. City government, all right, so we've got several of these contracts we're going to look at. I've asked Rick Wilson to be here to talk a little bit, share a little bit more about him and his company, those that couldn't be here, and then Shane Knight, and then Ted. So Rick, would you come on up?
My name is Rick Wilson. I'm the president and CEO of Wilson Enterprises and Affiliates. For contract purposes here, you'll see the name Wilson Global General Contracting. That's one of our affiliated companies that we own. I appreciate the time you've given me tonight, Mayor, to address the council. I felt like it was important, even though, albeit we were just here a few nights ago, I noticed some of you didn't have an opportunity to be there. So I felt it might be good just to have another opportunity to flavor a little bit more about what I'd like to refer to as a very elite team that the mayor has brought forth and assembled for you guys, and most importantly for the citizens of Bryant, to bring about this wonderful and majestic project. It truly is a fabulous opportunity. Our company, to give you just a snippet about us, and then I'll move right on to some of the other team, and then perhaps even a few details that we'll hypothecate with you tonight with regards to some specifics about this venue. So our company started as an excavation company in Hot Springs. I still live in Hot Springs. I was born and raised there, and our headquarters are there, albeit we work in 38 states and we crisscross the country on a daily basis. We still call Hot Springs home. My dad started an excavation business in the early 60s and got his first opportunity to be back then they just called them builders, really didn't know what a general contractor was. A person built a house one day and built a bank the next. Had an opportunity from a good friend of his that he mustered out of World War II with, fellow by the name of Sam Walton called him one day, and my dad's name was Pete Wilson, and he said, "Pete, I'm gonna make you a gazillionaire." And he said, "Really? How you gonna do that, Sam? We're gonna play another card game and I'm gonna lose, or am I gonna win this time?" He said, "No, I want you to build me a store, and I don't have any money. I've got a couple of these going, the family store up in Fayetteville that he worked in, his in-laws." He said, "We have that going." He said, "I'd like to just put some of these all over the state. Maybe one of these days even have stores in 2 states." And so, my dad and another partner of his fell in with in Hot Springs. They didn't have a whole lot of money, and they built number 3, and they built about 13 for him after that, and the first Sam's. And so, we all know the story of Walmart. From there, he sure made it beyond 2 states. So we'll go and get rid of those days, and I've been at the helm a little over 20 years. And we've since then had quite a bit of change in our development company and our general contracting company. We are contracted with some tenants. I'll mention a few names. Some of these companies that we build for every day. We have 16 projects under construction today across the country. And some of these companies you might have heard of. Of course, one is, we're still a Walmart developer, Walgreens Tractor Supply Company, O'Reilly's Auto, Sonic, Whataburger, 7 Brew, Taco Bell, Dutch Bros Coffee, Health Star, just to name a few. We've developed 4.9 million square feet of property for these guys to the tune of a little over $1 billion today. We're licensed in 38 states as general contractors. We own 2 general contracting companies, and these are all staff employees. We have our own general contracting companies because in the development business, while one doesn't have to wear the hat of a general contractor, because we're always on a clock, even though we do one-off projects and speculative projects from time to time, but for build-to-suit tenants like Walmart, Walgreens, Tractor Supply, Whataburger, these guys, we're on a clock. We have a schedule. We're on a budget. We have to bring things in. There's no such thing as over budget. It's not allowed. We are a CMAR in those relationships, as we will be with the City of Bryant Construction Manager at Risk, which basically means we'll have a budget, we'll present, it'll be ostensibly approved. We go over that budget, we write the checks after that. We become your unofficial partner that doesn't own anything. So we have to know what we're doing in this business. We've made it all these years without having to write any checks on any of these properties. That'll be something that we'll have to pay close attention to, and we will pay close attention to when we create the schedule and the budget for this project. Now, interestingly enough, in this situation where your budget is a given amount of money that your bond will provide the funding for, suffice from your referendum passing. And that's assumably, it seems as though it'll be $30 million. And people ask, well, I went to an event in Atlanta and I read where that facility cost $80 million, and I went to this one, it cost $100 million. This one cost $70 million. How can you do that for $30 million? It's not that complicated. It's not much different than if Mr. and Mrs. Treat decided to build a new home and they said, look, we can afford $500,000 for a home. And the wife said, I'd like to have a 9,000 square foot home with a swimming pool and a 9-hole golf course to go along with it. Well, it doesn't take long to realize you're probably not going to make it for $500,000. So basically, this is a budget build back. What that means is this elite team that's going to design this, and we're going to construct this, we have to design an entertainment venue that I'll go into a little more detail with and momentarily. We'll have to design a venue for the amount of money to fit back to the venue. For example, the operator is highly encouraged that this facility, the structure be about 50,000 square feet. This is the land that the mayor has an agreement on thus far. It's 15.57 acres. That's going to be more than sufficient for on-site parking and the facility. So our task is to design this entertainment venue to fit on that property at the cost of that property for the 50,000 square foot building, if that's what it's ultimately to be, and I think it will be very close to that, as well as the parking and all the civil aspects of the earthwork, stormwater, et cetera, for $30 million. And that includes the professional services as well. So it's just a matter of budgeting back building. We don't just design something and then hope it comes in at $30 million. That's not that difficult to do. The task is in the design phase of this, which is why when Shane Knight contacted me several months ago, knowing that our company was in the process, or had been several years ago, in the process of attempting to design an outdoor amphitheater for Hot Springs on the Majestic property downtown, he followed that along in that process, and that process drug out for about a year. It was very difficult. We had an enormously difficult small piece of property, very irregular shaped. We had part of the mountain, West Mountain, involved, and we had vertical hydraulics, which is some of the Hot Springs water that we were going to have to contend with in our soils. So the end result was we just couldn't make one fit that the operator felt could cash flow. So it didn't make it. So Shane called and said, what do you think about doing that over here? And so we began conversations, came over and met the mayor. And in that process, one of the very first things I said is, look, you can hire the most competent and most successful contractors in the country to build something for you. You can hire really smart and clever and creative architects, mathematicians in addition to that. But if you don't have the right operator, and I learned this from other projects that we've been involved in on a consulting basis as well, I quickly and early on learned that the operator is the key to the success of the facility. So I told the mayor and Shane that I'll introduce you to some guys that are the absolute best. They have a track record of 100% success. They're philanthropic, they're nonprofit, and as the gentleman that spoke earlier smartly and wisely identified, these are not necessarily profitable ventures. They cash flow and they perform and they do quite well all over the country. But typically they're municipal owned or in some fashion or government or some fashion of public-private partnership. So I insisted that I introduce the mayor and Shane to Peter Lane, the president and CEO of the Walton Arts Center that is the owner of the Walmart Amp, and that they see if we could, if this was something that would come to fruition, if those guys would have an interest in operating. I knew, and I know these guys, I've known them for several years, and I knew they would have an interest in coming to Central Arkansas. They already have had an interest. And so here we are today, and as the first gentleman pointed out, congratulations to the mayor. He has successfully negotiated, in my opinion, a very good agreement for the city of Bryant. Should you vote to approve these contracts, should you vote to set the referendum date, and should the voters pass it, you'll have an operator that will succeed, and you'll have an operator that has access, and this is critical, you'll have an operator that will have access to some of the most elite up-and-coming artists in the country that are traversing back and forth through Interstate 30. Interstate 30 is a key element of this. One of the very reasons why other cities that are not on an interstate can't get this newer type venue. I could go on and on about projects. Projects and services that my company offers. I'm not going to bore you with that. Go to the website, call me, catch me afterwards. I'll be happy to answer any questions or explain anything that you might have. What I would like to mention to you is that there will be 2 phases to this project. For the design team, there will be the schematic design management phase, which is primarily where the majority of that time it will be the architects and the operator and the sub-consultants. Sub-consultants consisting of civil engineer, which, by the way, will be Craft and Toll Engineering, senior civil engineer John Rogers, a Bryant native. I think he was born and raised here in Bryant. He'll be the head civil engineer for the project. Other sub-consultants will be acoustical engineers, theatrical consultants, lighting consultants, electrical engineers, and landscape architects. The operator will probably have 2 to 3 people in his group, and then I'll have 1 or 2 in my group, and the 8 or 10 or 12 of us or so will make up the design team along with the mayor and the president of the Chamber of Commerce. That schematic design phase will be, by and large, the majority of that time spent after the referendum. But in our agreement that we're asking you to approve tonight, we are charged as the CMAR with the responsibility of managing this group. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what that means exactly. If it means calling a meeting to order and locating it and provide coffee and donuts, we'll be real good at doing that, I assure you. But those guys will be the creative guys. They'll be the ones that will design it. And with the operator's input, they'll design a facility that will function profitably, even though, albeit they're a nonprofit. The second phase will be the construction phase. We would hope that the schematic design phase could be done in 4 to 6 months. I think it can. When I give those dates, the architects cringe, but I'm in the business of getting things done and getting something started and getting it completed. And they'll feel a little pressure from time to time, but I think that's a doable timeline. I think given some other theaters around the country, like the Moody in Austin, Texas, portions of the Toyota Music Factory in Irving, Texas, the theater portion of that conglomerated facility down there, the Cobb in Atlanta and others, some of the House of Blues in Houston, perhaps, or New Orleans. Most of these projects, in visiting with their architects and their general contractors, have been completed in 14 to 18 months of construction time. So that being said, Ms. Meyer asked me a question last week about how long it would take to build it, and I did the best I could without seeming offensive in saying I don't really know because I don't know what I'm going to build yet. But when we, to use a hypothesis, as I said, when we compare to other operating facilities that have been recently built in the last 4 years, and we talked to their professionals that designed and constructed them, we know that our design will be a facsimile of some of those. We know that the operators are going to want to probably resemble the Moody in Austin, where Austin City Limits performs. We know that there's a great deal about that they like. I think they like the one in the Toyota in Irving. So given that they're along the lines of those theaters, one can use a hypothesis to determine. I think we're buildable where we are in Central Arkansas in that time frame as well. That being said, you could be thinking 18 to 24 months for the design phase and the construction phase. We understand and we know, and we build up and down Interstate 30, Central Arkansas, all the time. We understand the soils, albeit we don't have a geotech report. We do understand what some of the historical soils are over there on that property. Because the city's going to own it, we're going to request of the city at some point, after we complete our civil drawings, we're going to ask the city to let us have a land disturbance permit and let us start early before our final architectural construction plans, or our vertical plans as we call them in the business, are completed, ready for that level of permit. So that would get us several month head start. And of course, that depends on the time of the year. If we have to start land disturbance this time of the year, you know what we have. We have a very slow, problematic process. So we'll hope that that doesn't happen. And so if we can start our earthwork activities, our underground stormwater, a few months ahead of construction plans being available, that will be a simultaneous event which will save us a few months on the project. The team that I'll assemble for our company for construction purposes, once we begin construction, the director of construction of our company will be the executive assigned to the project. We'll have a project manager assigned to just this project. That person, project manager, will be responsible for all of the day-to-day and night-to-night. That's 24/7 job to manage and secure this location in the project. We'll have a project materials and supplier and vendor services coordinator to coordinate all the material, all the vendors, all the supplies that we need on a timely basis to construct and make weekly accomplishments. We'll set a weekly grid for this project. We'll be providing detailed weekly reports and photos of every single week from the day we start until the day we turn over to the operator. Those will be provided to whomever the mayor directs us to. I presume, obviously, various administrative staff, perhaps you guys. We'll have a public relations coordinator, which we have in our company as an employee, we will have our website, and we'll have a special website for the project that we'll put up, and then we'll provide public updates, including some details on that construction report. And then we'll have safety coordinators, and then we'll, of course, have construction superintendents on site from daylight to dark every day. We'll have security fencing, we'll have security gating, and this will be one where we'll have to control access on and off the property. We'll be at a level B2, I think, of OSHA standards, so we'll be having OSHA inspections on this size project. So we'll have to control access to the site. More so once we get going vertical. The architects, Polk Stanley Wilcox. It's another recommendation I made to the mayor. They were involved in, I think, at least one of the expansions of the Walmart AMP. Walmart AMP in Rogers, you're all familiar with that. The Walton Arts Center owns it, they operate it. So in addition to the events that they provide the public at the Walton Arts Center on Dixon Street, is also the events that they provide at the Walmart AMP. They bought the Walmart AMP in 2011, and they've gone through subsequently 2 expansions to today. Their capacity is 11,700. We're all assured by Mr. Lane and his staff that the style venue that's desirable, that's most desirable around the country these days, especially for smaller populations, and we're living and dying by about a 1 million expanded MSA. Little Rock MSA, as they call it, it's a little over, I rounded off around 750, and then you expand to include other areas, including Hot Springs. A lot of people think Hot Springs and Oaklawn will compete with this. They won't, and I'll try to explain that in just a moment. Polk Stanley Wilcox, having been involved in that, in the design of one of the expansions at the Walmart AMP, this is an award-winning architect firm based in Little Rock. Let me highlight just a few projects that they've done recently. They've completed the Bank of Ozarks headquarters in the Chenal area, the Alice Walton School of Medicine, the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts, Hendrix College Miller Quad, Walmart AMP in expansion, and the U.S. Marshals Museum in Fort Smith. That's just to name a few about the designs these guys have. This, I want to tell you, I'll top this off right now and say that you truly have an elite team here. I'll call myself the backup player, and the other 2 guys the starters until we get to construction, and then the coach will put me in, and those guys will go to backup. I have some details that I'll share with you, but I'd like for you to I'd like for you to be liberal with me in your thinking. What I'm going to provide for you is information of costs of similar, what we think will ultimately be similar venues that we've investigated and explored and we have accurate numbers from. However, it does take, as I repeat myself, it does take a hypothesis, an educated guess, if you will, to apply it going forward to an undesigned yet thought of project. Hope that makes sense. So the land, the price for the land, as you well know, is $3 million. When you include closing costs, that's going to average about $3,060,000. The professional services, that's the fees for our company, the CMAR, the architect, the sub-consultants, the civil engineering, permits and fees will run about 4.5. The construction of the building, including a contingency of about 3%, which is pretty much an industry standard, that leaves about $22,400,000, which puts us in the vicinity for a 50,000-foot facility of around $445 a foot. When we go back and then you say, well, where'd you come up with that? Well, recall what I just said a few moments ago when we researched the cost and the schedule at the Moody and at Toyota Music Factory in Cobb and Atlanta, the newest amphitheater, the River Amphitheater in Nashville, Tennessee, and about 3 others, including some detail that the Walton Arts Center has provided us when they were considering this venue added to the AMP. In place of that is one in Bryant. And then again, we have historical, in our county, we have historical material costs real time. We know exactly what CMU blocks of different size cost. We know what concrete in Bryant's going to cost, depending on the PSI of it. We know what heavy duty, light duty asphalt, framing material, mason, so on and so forth, and electrical, plumbing, including labor. So when we applied all of that, and honestly, I can't take credit for this. I did very little of this. This is smarter accountants in my office than me did this. They came up with this figure of around $444 to $445 per foot, and then they went back and took the costs that we were provided in some of these other facilities, and ironically, all of them came between $425 and $475 a foot. And if we can't build cheaper in Bryan, Arkansas than Austin, Texas, I'll kiss every foot in the room. I built in Austin, Texas, and it is enormously expensive. So is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I know I ran through that. I hope that helped you a little bit more with your question the other night, Ms. Meyer. Have any questions?
I've got some questions, but I'm not sure if they're a general contractor.
Okay.
Appreciate your presentation
Yeah.
a lot, very much so.
Thank you, Rick. And then if they have questions for you, we'll call you back up.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Shane?
So, April 4th, my position was announced to the general public as the next president and CEO of the Bryant Chamber of Commerce. So we are now 9 months, 12 days into that tenure, and here we are. I think 2 months after I came on board with the chamber, I presented to this council an economic development plan that featured an apex project, a project that would set the city apart, a project that would set into motion certain things for this city and things that this city has not seen in a very long time, and that's happened. Today I attended the groundbreaking for Genwell Financial over on the Parkway. They're getting ready to demolish a residential home on commercial property, and they are going to build a facility for 50 employees. And if you go over there and you see what is happening now with that construction and a few other things, that is 1.3 miles back to the east of this proposed venue. You get a phone call. Phone call is a hotel developer. I had a real estate guy standing right beside me here and that Mr. Shrewsbury standing right here. Put him on speaker. They're looking for land. John Shrewsbury's words were, "That's what we're after." Right there. That's why we're staying in Bryant. They had an offer to go to West Little Rock and build their facility there, but they chose to stay in Bryant. So the momentum is happening. Everything that we had anticipated with this type of project is starting to take shape. We announced some of that at our workshop, and those things are still moving forward. What I will share with you is from the Chamber's point of view on this project. I was asked that when this project started to get towards this phase, Shane, go out and talk to our businesses, get their opinion, get their thoughts. You heard some of that during the workshop from Mr. Ferguson and the businesses that he represents. Every business that I have been to, and you can ask our board, Shane gets out twice a week and he visits our business. It's kind of door-to-door kind of thing. This is building a level of excitement where each one of them are beginning to look at their operating plans to say, when can we extend hours? What are we going to be able to do to capitalize on this? All up and down Highway 5 from Market Place down to Reynolds Road. Even the areas that were mentioned tonight in this part of our community are looking at this project as their opportunity, their time to reevaluate themselves and look at the positive aspects that this facility is going to bring. So where we're at tonight, you have some contracts before you. Contracts that in my previous work I have done on this public-private situation, I have done countless of these. Right now, it may look on the surface, who's going to have the skin in the game? You've got these private individuals that already have, from Rick to the Waltons, that are spending time and money and research, looking at the demographics, looking at other facilities. So they're putting skin in the game. Our portion as a city is going to be that portion that the architects are asking for up front to begin to develop the concept. What will this look like? From videos to pictures to things that we can look at and lay our eyes on and say, that's going to be ours. That is what the chamber needs to begin promotions and begin working with our residents in Bryant to educate them on the benefits of this type of facility. The chamber is going to take full responsibility and put every effort into promoting, holding town hall meetings, meeting with businesses, whomever we need to meet with, from tonight till May 13th, to make sure this thing works. Here's what you've got that you have not had in a very long time. You've got a chamber and a city working together. You have got a chamber and a city government working together. We have not had that in a very long time, and that's not finger pointing, it is what it is, okay? But you've got a city and a chamber that is desiring to work together. We're not doing it because we have to, we do it because we want to. And we know that if we're going to move our community forward at the capacity that we want to move forward, it is going to take you folks, me, and the board that I represent, and the 525 members of the Bryant Chamber of Commerce to move this city in the direction it deserves to be moved in. So, when you take a look at these contracts, what I want you to know from my experience in these contracts, when you're dealing with a CMAR, and you're dealing with this type of situation, if all of this goes south on May 13th and the Bryant residents say no, we walk away with the only commitment of what you gave the architect to build the concept. There are no other obligations in these contracts. There are no other financial obligations. He walks away, we walk away, the architect, Walton Arts, we all walk away and we say, we gave it our best. So I want you to feel confident in the contracts that you have before you, okay? And I want you to be confident in your Chamber of Commerce that we have already begun putting this campaign together with some very, very talented and smart people, okay? So if y'all have any questions, feel free. I'll grab a seat. Thank you, guys.
All right. Questions for Ted was very involved in all this. So if there's detailed questions, he had a summary he handed out Thursday.
And I think we met with individuals on this, and if you got, I'll probably NC a lot of these questions. A lot of it involved Ashley developing in those contracts with their attorneys, and then in the various facets are with the CMAR, with the program operator, as well as the property. So,
So,
Fire away.
so, and this may have been asked the other night, I apologize. But, so, what is our risk?
financially, our risk is asked, is as Shane so well put, is the $42,000 initially for the architect to develop a conceptual plan. We're also going to be awarded $5,000 as an endorsement from the Saline County Economic Development to go towards that. So that level of risk is $37,000. And of course, if we decide in January to go for a vote, we being the city, go for a vote, of course, there's financial of calling that special election, which I believe is around $20,000 to $25,000.
Unless I'm mistaken, you can't call special elections in the state of Arkansas anymore.
You can, but you can only call them 2 times in the year. And that is in May and November.
But they have to, so it's not a special election, it's just during the primary or during the election in November.
Correct.
It's not a special election, so we're not having to pay $40,000 for an election in the city of Bryant.
Well, I guess it was 2024 was the same thing. We called a special election just because it wasn't originally supposed to be on the ballot. But it was still during it was in March of last year because it was a
It was a primary.
primary, yes. It was a presidential election.
So,
Yeah,
I got a question
that's a
for-
good question.
I got a question for Joy later then, but
This is when Arkansas elections are going to happen in 2025, May 13th
Yeah.
or the November.
so Representative Ray sponsored it and passed it.
Gotcha. So you're correct in that.
Yeah.
And that's, if we're going to have this, it's got to be one of those 2 dates.
But we still, this is pennies compared to the whole project, but it's just a basic question, and we all need to be prepared to ask it. So why do we have to pay $40,000 to participate in a dang primary election? I don't mean the dang part, by the way.
What actually made it cost more this particular election is that we had a higher voter turnout. And they allocate the cost of the election based in part on your voter turnout.
So we're getting charged by the head.
Bryant had over 5,000 people who participated, and so when they allocated it out, that increased our cost.
The wrong people show, I'm just kidding. So we don't have any design concepts at all at this?
no, not at this stage. I mean, we've got some
Can we-
past sites of what they've looked like. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Rick did a good job over comparison of something that's.
You know, I was looking them up as he was speaking, but can we please change the name from ballroom to something else?
Unfortunately, that's kind of the venue that's described, and the imagery that we've seen, it actually looks in some cases like a ballroom. There's chandeliers in it, but that's just one of the many venues you can have within that facility. You can have concerts, you can have symphony orchestras, you can have comedians, you can have multiple things.
I understand that, but I don't think Oaklawn calls their concert venue a ballroom.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know that we're tied to it, but.
That's probably, I'm probably looking way beyond what.
Well, that's a good question.
The ballroom is just a concept of called, it's a flat floor.
It's a
Right
format.
now, it's a floor plan.
We don't envision ours being called the Bryant Ballroom, like named that. When we were talking about a different
Better sell
style,
sponsorship.
right? We were talking about a style, and we were moving from one style to another. That's what you call that style. But that's the only reason we're using that.
Yeah, obviously, we
terminology.
went from an outdoor amp to an indoor venue with vast areas of.
We call them indoor amp?
I'm
just kidding.
We could think of something along those lines.
That's the biggest complaint I've heard from people so far.
So the other risk is obviously
Believe it or not.
the timeline issue too, right? So if we want to hit that May 13th deadline, technically, we have to be 70 days ahead of that to be committed to it, to pay the clerk and all those to have that arranged. That puts us somewhere around at the first part of March, but things are getting real close there. That's why we've asked that, here we are in December, we want to proceed with this at that level of financial risk, so that by January 28th, we can commit to that. And if it doesn't work out, we got some more questions, or, we need to do a little bit more work, then we have a little bit more time to get in on that election process.
So what you're asking us to commit to tonight is the $42,000 for the construction, evaluation, and scope, basically a scope document.
And some,
Right.
and renderings, so that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people know what they have a better idea of what we're asking
Yeah.
them to vote for.
You gotta know what you're buying before you buy.
Exactly.
That's right, and we also get a little bit of more level of what it's gonna cost, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We'll have some numbers on paper and we'll figure out.
And I know that Peter Lane and his team are working on more details of demographics and how they see this thing performing, who's going to, the impact, the economic impact, more of those details. So, because their pro forma has to show on their side that this is a good investment for the Walton Arts Center to be involved in this. So there's a lot of those details, not only in design, but performance that we'll have to be able to show you and the residents in January.
So we're approving all these basically so the program operator can be assured that we're committed. Is that safe to say?
I think that's part of it. That's fair.
What's the other part?
The other part of it is to have a concept that we're all excited about too, that we want to see built in our city.
Pretty big ask to do that in a month.
It is.
I mean,
Very
that's a lot.
challenging. And, I mean, I already appreciate, he's technically not on the clock, but Rick has already worked with the architect to develop that, to get us to that timeline. And to take out some certain degree of unnecessarily what we need for that, so that Shaq can take that image and go on and proceed with the election on it.
Yeah, it's potentially a great opportunity for the city of Bryant, no doubt about it. Do we have any way of knowing what the anticipated attendance will be? Is it projected to be?
That's kind of some of the things that we're counting on from the Walton group, that they'll be able, just like the mayor had said, is look at this venue. It will fit into a rotation of areas in the vicinity that will pick up those artists. They've got really good, I mean, I understand that, the idea that we don't like calling it a ballroom, but there are many multiple models around nearby that they can understand that what's going to come as a result.
So you're asking for capacity? How
Yeah,
much?
I'm asking for capacity, I'm asking for.
Rick, do you have an idea?
Wait, I got a second question.
Okay.
Is it fixed seating or is it all movable seating like Oaklawn's is?
A very good question. So the operator has identified already in all of their pro forma work, and they've been working on this style venue for a little over a year. I guess coming upon about 2 years. They, for this area, they envision the first 3 years selling between 75 and 100,000 tickets per year, holding between 30 and 40 events per year.
Yes, sir.
And they expect that they will, without a doubt, grow up to leveling out in the 100 or plus thousand tickets per year by year 3. So that's, and that's a year-round versus an outdoor amphitheater.
Times 50 tickets.
That's a little over 3 events per month.
Right, and so, but is the seating, we don't know yet, right? If it's fixed seating or?
Well, I agree with you 100%. When this was presented to us, it was a quote ballroom style. I immediately thought of my senior year in high school when I took a girl to the debutante ball at the Arlington Hotel, to the ballroom of the Arlington Hotel. That truly was a, I'm concerned.
It's a beautiful room.
We want you on recording. What the ballroom was like when you were in school.
I've been there, it's a beautiful room.
Okay, so, and that's where I learned the Foursquare, I think that's what it was called, dance. So I agree with you 100%, so I told Peter, is there any way we can just carve that term out? Because what they're meaning by ballroom, like Ted said, ballroom in their sense of these theaters is just a flat floor without seating.
Okay.
Or with an adjustable means of modifying it to temporary seating for a different style of venue or flat floor. That's an actual architectural term.
Okay.
So when you look at all these others, and you Googled some already, and when you look around, you're not going to see the name ballroom in any of them.
Right.
Yet it was designed by the architects to meet that style, that flat floor style. So the 18 to 44-year-olds that the operator targets for the majority of their artists, their attendees in that age will stand
for the entire 2 to 3 hour event.
I've watched.
This is right up and close and personal and an experience right into the artist with the magic sound and light systems. That's what they want. Let's see, it's been a while since I was 44, much less 18. I'm sure I would have been one of those people standing there. I won't be one. They also have some ideology where they want to prepare some mezzanine type seating along the sides, which kind of would give it back to kind of a little ballroom effect when you have some of that. But I think also the intent is to create where we can have adjustable seating, even take it to a tabletop venue or an event, if you will.
Good question. Thanks. So, that's probably a bad question. So sponsorships on the venue, the operator gets all that?
Operator lives and dies by all of that. They'll bring, the Walton Arts Center will bring their partners here, and their partners are mega companies. I don't want to jump too far out
I understand.
and risk a thrashing from Peter the next time I see him. But I know, and you can just go to the AMP and you'll see Kellogg's, of course, Walmart, and some of the other names escape me, but they're all Fortune 500s, Coke, Pepsi. I think they have Coke and Pepsi.
You get one or the other.
So they will have all that sponsorship money, unless the mayor, and the mayor negotiated his agreement. We didn't have anything to do with it really. So I don't know if there's anything left over out of that, but typically, it's really typical, the operator, that's why they're nonprofits. I mean, when you go to one of these events and the several hundred employees that they have, and they pay these employees very well, it takes a lot of people to put these, to take care of, in this case, 2,500 people. We have to park 700-800 vehicles in addition to the staff. And so they depend heavily on that sponsorship money.
So we're anticipating a capacity of about 2,500?
Yes, that's their target.
Okay. And any, the stream of revenue for the city of Bryan is purely tax revenue, correct?
Correct.
So if they make $1 gazillion,
They are a nonprofit, they're philanthropic.
I understand.
They
Oh,
put
I
money
understand.
back in the community. That's where you guys go back to work, this guy probably.
Shane, you,
I'm working for you.
Some of Alderman Rodell, and I handed some information out during the workshop. What the chamber is looking at from an economic impact standpoint on this facility being up and operational, the number of shows that we anticipate based upon some initial ticket estimates by the Arts Foundation is at a 3% sales tax rate based upon a $100 expenditure per person, is ranging between $400,000 and $600,000 a year in tax revenue. That does not count the ripple effect that takes place in our restaurants, hotels, and shops that our businesses are looking for with the increased traffic flow. Now, those are just the events that Walton Arts will book and put on. They also have this venue available, and I have already handed over my information to the Arts Foundation on our local businesses, our demographics, and they are setting up meetings with caterers and other businesses in the metro area to see in their likelihood, their interest in using this venue for corporate parties, different events and rentals and things of that nature. So the economic impact does not take into account those as well. When you do a global impact study, and I'll use the AMP for example, and you got to scale it back from a conservative model. When I contacted the Rogers Chamber of Commerce and I spoke with them, that facility at 11,000 had a $22 million impact on the local economy. You drop that down to the scale of what we are looking at here, with this being a 365-day event venue, not closed half of the year, able to have a quick turnaround to where you can do multiple events during the course of a week, you're looking at a global economic impact of this situation between $8 and $12 million. Okay? That's just on the facility. It doesn't count the ancillary stuff that I mentioned here. So when I presented this to our board and we were reviewing the economics and talking with the businesses, for lack of a better phrase, in a very middle school, it's a no-brainer. This is the single most, single largest economic impact project this city has seen ever.
Shane, no brainer is what my algebra teacher called me, by the way, but, so how many jobs do you think this will create?
So that's a very good question. We know that the AMP and Rogers, and right now I use that because of my conversations with the Chamber of Commerce, it'll do about 2 shows a week, and it'll average anywhere between 400 and 600 employees. So if you scale that down, if we bring in, based upon scale, 100 to 150 employees that the Walton Arts will employ and put to work, that does not count caterers, security, things like that, that some of our police officers and different people in the community will have availability to. You're looking at several hundred on the employment economic impact.
Good questions.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rick. Just one little thing that I left out that I think is real important.
I have made a commitment to the mayor that we will bid out to all local sub-trades, tradesmen and materials first. And so we'll make every effort to make certain that we keep all the money that's spent as close to Bryan as possible.
That was my next question, man.
Good question. I go in front of planning commissions, city councils all the time, so I usually keep these questions right here, and I usually tell them what they're about to ask.
Your FAQ.
Thank you. Good stuff.
Am I not mistaken, doesn't the city have access to the
Yes.
venue for our purposes?
Right, so one of the things we did, we patterned the contract with Walton Arts after the other nonprofits we work with, right? City-owned facility, BYA, senior adults, BSA, right? We have nonprofits that run these programs out of our facilities really well. So we patterned it after what we already do. And one of the things we put in there is that 12 events a year, rent-free, the city has access to the facility to work with other nonprofits. Nonprofits that we work with that want to do something in this facility, they'll have that rent-free. Obviously, there might be, if they want to use the staff, they're going to have to pay for that. So we do see this as a place probably a chamber banquet could be in, or a high school could use it for, something that they want to put on. So the city will have access to that.
But I'm gonna be working for you.
I always work for you, Ron.
That's what he said.
Good answer.
He misspoke. But like they said, anybody can, as Walton Arts will be operating this, when something's not booked there, corporate events and others can rent this and use it.
And there's not many 2,500 seat venues like that in central Arkansas, I can promise you.
Right. Correct.
Especially that has catering involved too.
Walton Foundation's committed for 25 years, is that what I remember right?
Yeah, the contract initially is for 25 years of operation. We will do a reevaluation every 5 years, just to make sure that the performance is staying at the level that we both expect, as well as they will do we won't call it a financial report, but performance review report once a year, so that we can see how it's going, so there's no surprises.
We want to continue to show the taxpayers this is the best use of this facility to serve the city.
So who in the city is going to be in charge of that ongoing monitoring relationship? Because Joy's way overworked.
You said
Ted's way overworked.
Joyce?
No. And I don't think the mayor should be his full-time job. That's just, I don't know if you thought about it or not. Okay, but that's something that these.
That'll be a good problem, right?
Yes.
Hopefully it'll be a problem.
It just doesn't need to be a problem. We need to have a plan for that going forward. And I'm
So
sorry
we-
I didn't talk to you about that.
No, that's a good question. And Peter Lane we've had a lot of conversations, because that relationship between the Walton Arts Center and the city is such a big deal. Between now and January 28th, and then if you agree to have a special election, we're going to continue to have those conversations and be prepared day one that it's open, that we've hammered out. There's still a lot of details to hammer out.
I understand.
Right? Especially that relationship. And so that's one of the things I said Thursday night, that we're still in a process, and this is just the next step. And so he understands that, that's one of the things he said to me, and I totally get, and I feel the same way. We don't even know what we're building yet. So there's a lot of details in this relationship that we need to work out. And so when we get there, say it gets approved, we've been working on those things for months and months and months. And then by the time it's opened, we've had years, right? The other thing that we also know is after it's open, when it's the working relationship, we know we're going to have to come back. That's why we put in there once a year, there's a meeting where they come forward and we say, hey, what's working, what isn't, and we work through that. So we do recognize this as an ongoing relationship, and we'll continue to have those conversations. It's a really good question, Ross.
And council, rest assured, you will have a Chamber of Commerce that is available to facilitate and assist in areas where this is not a cumbersome situation upon the city government or your employees. So if it's a deal that the chamber can assist, we would be happy to facilitate information and be a conduit as well.
I appreciate that.
So, I mean, to me, pretty obviously, you're going to see an uptick in sales tax, right? You're going to know on the outside, that's going to be your external stimulus that you're going to, this is as a result of performance, right? And those numbers are the ones that Joy is going to see.
That's her job.
Yeah, and that is.
But not to maintain.
Any more to you, Joy, but I mean,
Yeah, not to
those should be
maintain
good
that.
indicators that something is fast.
That's right. We've also got the growth we already have, so we have to anticipate that and plan above it too. But like I said, I don't think it's a great concept if the voters approve it.
Okay, we could bore you with all the details of the particular contracts, but as you pointed out, really the main one is to continue on with the $42,000 for the architect. As well pointed out, there's 4 contracts/agreements here that are all contingent on the January 28th.
But yes, so none of that even matters if the voters don't approve it.
That's right. None of it.
And just as a small side note, page 5, I calculated it right currently. We're at 200 days on our 120 goal in cash, and 1 day would be $49,000. So this 37 would be below, reducing it by 1 day.
Right. So you said we're at 200 days?
At the end of November.
Standards 100, well, my standard's 120, yours is 180, I think.
Shoot. Theirs is 365.
No, we share a philosophical difference, that's okay. But that's right, isn't it, Joy?
I'm okay with this day.
Okay with
Better make it up in sales tax next month.
Great questions. Thanks, everybody. I think the more details we can talk about and the more conversations we can have publicly about this, the better. We want everybody to be informed of where we are on this project. Anything else? Any questions? If not,
What do we have to vote on? There's no resolutions or
Yeah, that's what-
ordinances or?
I would just like you to vote on these contracts, giving me permission to move forward with those. The biggest thing is in the architect's contract is the $42,000.
So all we're committing to, concept and rendering at this time.
Yes, you're saying you move forward to that next phase, that you're agreeable to these contracts if they've been presented.
We're not even committing to the election at this
You're not
point.
even committing to the election.
That's next month.
That would be January 28th.
Just so you're clear, you are committing that if this does go to election, and if it passes by the people, these are the contracts.
Have you reviewed the contracts?
Yes, I was heavily involved.
What is your,
I am very comfortable with all 4 of these contracts. We went through many negotiations with the attorneys and the operator, and I'm very comfortable with all these. I think we got it to, there was give and take on all the contracts, and I think we got it to a very.
did we take more than we gave?
Do that.
Never mind. No. I don't want that loud.
We stood our ground.
Good.
All right, do we want to start with,
We want to go down the list. First and foremost, I would say to commit to the memorandum of understanding for the property agreement for the particular parcels that this venue would go.
That's number 15, that's out of order, Ted.
I'm sorry, to me, it's do the property first, do the CMAR, do the architect, and then do the program agreement. I apologize.
Is everybody okay with that order?
Yes.
All right,
So this is 15.
yes. 15, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. What'd you say next, Ted?
I had the construction manager at risk contract next.
Is that combined with the,
It is actually in your packet, it is with the A&E.
with the architect, those two together?
That includes the 42,000.
That includes the 42,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor? Motion passes, that was
Number 13.
that was 13.
And then the remainder would be the program operator.
All right, number 14, have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 16 is information only. That details about the, what you, if you decide on an election, that's the bond details that you would be asking the residents to vote on.
Have we got a bond person yet?
We're working with Stevens and Cruz. And Cruz, yes, sir. And Ryan Bowman.
Yeah.
They've been working with us this entire process. Lots of questions, making sure we have all that, so. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ted, thanks, Rick, Shane. All right, Rebecca.
Shane needs a haircut.
I think he got one.
Hair's getting long. Is that a resolution?
Observation.
Maybe the ball is a dog show.
All right,
Yeah,
Rebecca.
maybe like this, Ron.
Okay, number 17 is a resolution for us to apply for the Metro Plan TAP grant. We would like to apply for this for the construction cost overrun for the Alcoa to Mills Park Trail. And then we would also like to do a resurfacing of Mills Park Trail along with that, since that connector trail does connect to the actual Mills Park Trail as well. This is an 80-20 grant, because we can only ask for $320,000. We would be responsible for 28.8%, which would be $129,264.35 for this grant.
And I would like to point out, this is similar to the other ones where these aren't in the 2025 budget at this time, but my plan is to bring those back to you at the February meeting as placeholders in that new reserve policy under the grants, as a way to track those. We haven't done in the past, but we need to start doing, because there's that period from when we apply to when we are actually awarded, and we may or may not be awarded.
So we're going to earmark money when we apply for grants. If we don't get them, then we'll take that mark off.
Good idea. This is a weird question, but I want to ask it anyway. So the resurfacing at Mills Park, does that include fixing any washouts and stuff too?
We allowed so much money for milling, where you got bumps in the sidewalk, as well as to some extent, a little bit of drainage work to be done during it.
Okay, I just noticed that last time I walked around over there.
Yeah,
Good
the
question.
north end.
It's got a little bumpy.
Roots and stuff.
Yep.
Is that what we're talking about? Roots.
Just make sure Joyce knows before you do it.
Any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion
Make a
to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Resolution 2024-59.
This is resolution for us to apply for the Assistance to Firefighters grant. This is through FEMA. We are applying to get 40 self-contained breathing apparatus units for our fire department. Each unit includes a cylinder, 2 cylinders, an air pack, and a face piece. We currently have 40, but the shelf life for these are only 15 years, and we're almost at 13 years for ours. So this is, on the website it said 10%, but their calculations are a little bit different. So on your item history sheet, it says that we would be responsible for a little over $50,000. That correct number is actually $45,873.35.
That's 10% of the total cost, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually ends up being like 9.09% because of how they calculate it. They calculate it on your jurisdiction that you serve.
Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, council comments.
Mayor, will you indulge me? Jason Brown sent me something he would like
Sure.
me to read.
Of course.
He says, I apologize for not being able to be present at tonight's meeting. I want to thank each council member for their prayers and support. I've had the honor of serving the citizens of Bryant in many different capacities, but serving with you, fellow council members, has been one of the greatest blessings in my life. I want to thank you for who you are and for always putting Bryant's needs first. I will continue to support the city and this council however I can. I'm proud that we've accomplished together and how we've stood for true leadership, working together respectfully, even in disagreement, and valuing every voice. Thank you to all the city staff for your hard work over the years. You're appreciated and your wishes haven't gone unnoticed. To Chief Futch, thank you for running a smooth, tight operation and keeping our city safe. To Chief Menden, thank you also for running the best police department in the state and for being the man of integrity you are, but most of all, thank you for your years of friendship. Please remember, what we do makes a greater impact on our community than what we say. I continue to pray for our city and for that leadership will always put the needs of the citizens first. With love from your friend and supporter, Jason Brown.
Thank you.
Well, you did so much better than I did. We had cliff notes.
Yeah. Any other council comments?
Just thoughts and prayers for the department. I know that it's been a tough week for you guys.
Yeah.
Continuing to pray.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for working so hard to make sure we get these details right and we provide clarity on all these things. Really appreciate all the work you're doing. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
The last meeting, 2025, I mean 2024.
You get to make the motion.
Motion to depart.
Motion to depart, do I have a second to the motion to depart?
I already stood,
All right.